Good morning, students. Welcome back to our physics classes. So let us wait for some time. Some more are joining now. So meanwhile, we had two questions yesterday, and I asked you to try out the values of currents in both the cases. First case I1, I2, I3 are there. And in second case, two currents are there, I1 and I2. I3 we have written in terms of I1 and I2. So, did you get the answer? Did you get its answer? Anybody? Or you didn't try? What happened? Heba Fatima. Did you get the answer?
Morning, sir.
Morning. Did you get the answer?
No, sir.
Why? Did you try?
Yes, sir.
Which method you in which method you tried?
Sir, I've tried by solving simultaneous equations together.
Which means not substitution method.
Sir, same sir, substitution only. Sir, by which method we solve the simultaneous equations?
Okay, first two equations, from first two equations you can find out the value of I2 in terms of I1. Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
Then what do you
Sir,
get
in
as
second-
I2?
Sir, actually yesterday while noting time, I have done some mistakes in the equation.
Okay.
I had to clarify it today.
Okay, then correct it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Suryansh, did you get the answer? No.
No.
Which method you have?
Sir, actually,
Actually, you did right.
proceed.
Is it okay? Ayushi, did you get the answer for that?
Yes, sir.
I1, I2, I3 in the
Yes,
first
sir.
case,
Yes, sir.
and I1 and I2 in the second question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good, good. Kanishka, did you get the answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, good. Shashwat,
Yes, sir.
did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when we are having that kind of questions, that means analyze a DC circuit or find the value of currents in different parts of a DC circuit. We are opting this Kirchhoff's law method so as to find out the required unknown values in that question. So for that, we are making use Kirchhoff's current law and Kirchhoff's voltage law. Mainly, we are using Kirchhoff's voltage law so as to maintain the equation. And while making the equation, we have to consider the current law and as well when the current's branching is happening and when what is the if current splits at a junction, what are the different values in different branches of that circuit that can be easily identified by Kirchhoff's current law. So as a combination of Kirchhoff's laws, we can find out the unknown values in a DC circuit. Unknown values means unknown values for the currents in the DC circuit. Okay, then this Kirchhoff's law is used by another scientist called Wheatstone, and he generated or he formulated a method so as to find out the unknown resistance given to him. Suppose an unknown resistance is provided and you are asked to find out what is the value of that resistor. That we are going to do in our physics lab. When you are coming to the practical classes, you have to do that. You are provided with a resistance wire and you are asked to find out what is the resistance of that wire that you have provided with. For that, an easy method based on this Kirchhoff's laws was invented by Wheatstone. So that method is known as Wheatstone bridge arrangement. It is known as the Wheatstone bridge arrangement. So the method is known as the Wheatstone bridge arrangement. So you write Wheatstone bridge. You write it is a bridge arrangement. It is a bridge arrangement. It is a bridge arrangement. So as to find out. The resistance of a given conductor. Resistance of a given conductor. Okay, then you make this diagram. Make this diagram. Here, 4 resistors P, Q, R, S are connected as shown in the figure. That means as the arms of a quadrilateral. And between two diagonal points, a galvanometer is connected. And between other two diagonal points, a cell is connected. Make. Okay. Okay. So here when the cell is connected across the diagonal points of this arrangement, a current is flowing through this. See, a current I starts from the cell, and when it reaches the point A, it splits into I1 and I2. I1 is flowing through P, and the same current is flowing through Q. I2 is flowing through R, and same current is flowing through S also, and meeting at this junction B. I1 plus I2, where I1 plus I2 is equal to I, because the total current I is splitting into I1 plus I2. So the same current I1 plus I2, which is equal to I, is coming back to the same, cell itself. I already told you this, what the current is starting from the cell, the same current will be getting back to the cell. So the current statement is correct here, or current law is correct here. Now, between these 2 points, C and D, between the points C and D, we have connected a galvanometer. You know what is a galvanometer? Galvanometer detects the presence of current in a circuit. It detects the presence of current in a circuit. So when a current is flowing from C to D, so suppose I1 current is coming here and it is going to P, and at the junction C, there is a chance of splitting of current again, because galvanometer also conducts current. So from this point C, there is a chance of getting Ig flowing through galvanometer down, and I1 minus Ig is going to the Q. Are you getting that? See, that is a general condition. That means whenever current meets in a junction, there is a chance of splitting of that current. But here we can decide whether you want the current through the galvanometer or not. Here you can decide whether you want a current through galvanometer or not. We can adjust the values of P, Q, R, and S. We can adjust the value of P, Q, R, and S. That is the values of the 4 resistors in that circuit in such a way there is no current flowing through the galvanometer. If you are arranging the values of P, Q, R, S in such a way, there is no current flowing through the galvanometer. If the galvanometer carries a current, when the galvanometer is not carrying a current, that means the galvanometer current Ig is equal to 0. When Ig is equal to 0, we can say that P and Q are carrying the same current. And one more thing, when Ig current is going down at the point D, I2 is coming to the point D and Ig is also coming to the point D. Then through S, the current actually flowing is I2 plus Ig. If a current is flowing through the galvanometer, then the current flowing through S will be I2 plus Ig. But when you are saying that Ig is equal to 0, for that what you have to remember that to make the current through the galvanometer 0, you have to adjust the values of P, Q, R, and S. That means all the 4 resistors value you have to adjust in such a way no current is passing through the galvanometer. At that condition, we can say that Wheatstone bridge is balanced. Wheatstone bridge is balanced. When it is balanced, how you can identify whether the Wheatstone bridge arrangement is balanced or not? If it is balanced, no current is flowing through the galvanometer, which means galvanometer shows 0 deflection. Have you seen galvanometer? Galvanometer is having SA and a needle. Always that needle comes to 0. And when a current is flowing through, it will show deflection. Depending upon the direction of current, it will show right or left deflection. When there is no current, then that needle shows 0 at the center. Okay. So when the galvanometer connected between C and D is showing 0 deflection, then we can say that the balance, Wheatstone bridge is balanced. If Wheatstone bridge is balanced, then Ig equal to 0. Then the current through Q will be I1 only, current through S only, SI2 only, because Ig is equal to 0. So that is the balanced condition. So for balanced condition, Ig equal to 0, and at that time, when you are writing the Kirchhoff's law in ACDE. Listen, if you are writing the Kirchhoff's voltage law in ACDA, I1 into V. Since you are moving the direction of current, that is positive. Then through this, no current is there, so no IC terms is there. Then from B to A, you are moving across against the direction of current of I2, so that may be minus I2 into R, which is equal to 0 because there is no cell connected in that. Did you get that? Kirchhoff's voltage law in the loop ACDA. Now we can have the loop CBDC. Consider the loop CBDC. If you are moving in the clockwise direction, again, I1 into Q you can take it as positive, I1 into Q minus. B to C, B to D, you are moving in the direction opposite to the current I2. So that is I2 into S equal to 0. Do you have any doubt regarding these two steps? Is it clear now? That is based on our Kirchhoff's voltage law. Now we can have I1P is equal to I2R. I1Q equal to I2S. I1 and when you are taking the ratio, I1 and I1 get cancels, I2 get cancels. That is P by Q is equal to R by S. See, how did you get this equation? P by Q is equal to R. What is P by Q? P by Q is, or you can write P by R is equal to Q by S. See, P by R is equal to Q by S. So we can write that P by R is equal to Q by S. Same ratio, P by R is equal to Q by S. What is P by R? Ratio of resistors connected in left hand side of the conductor. Okay. What is Q by S? Ratio of resistors connected on right hand side of the conductor. From this equation, both are same. When this condition will be satisfied, when these equations are satisfied. When these equations are satisfied, Ig equal to 0. When Ig equal to 0, what is the condition of this balance in Wheatstone bridge? That Wheatstone bridge is balanced. Are you getting that? When the Wheatstone bridge is balanced, Ig equal to 0. Then the loop gives these two equations. From this equation, we are getting P by R is equal to Q by S. Ratio of resistors connected across either side of the galvanometer is equal at the balanced condition in Wheatstone bridge. Clear? Ratio of resistors connected across either side of the galvanometer is equal when the Wheatstone bridge is balanced. At the balanced condition, ratio of resistors connected across the galvanometer remains same in the Wheatstone bridge. That is a very, very, very important fact. Ratio of resistors on either side of the galvanometer and Wheatstone bridge will be equal when at the balanced condition. So I already told you while adjusting P, Q, R, and S, you can attain the balanced condition. So in which way you have to arrange these resistors? You have to arrange these resistors in such a way P by R is equal to Q by S. Okay. If P by R is equal to Q by S, then the Wheatstone bridge is balanced. No current is flowing through the galvanometer. Then you can have the equation P by R is equal to Q by S. Clear? So that is the balanced Wheatstone bridge condition. Suppose instead of 3, you are connecting here an unknown resistance X. You are not knowing the value of X. So to find out the value of X, you just construct a different bridge in which you are having X. And you are adjusting the value of R, S, and Q. X cannot be valid because it is an unknown resistance given to you. So you can adjust the values of R, S, and Q so as to maintain zero current in the galvanometer. So as to maintain zero current in the galvanometer, you can adjust the values of R, S, Q. R, S, Q are 3 known values that you can choose. And you can adjust its values so as to get no current in the galvanometer. If there is no current in the galvanometer, then we can have an equation X by R, ratio of resistance on either side. X by R is equal to Q by S. So X can be easily calculated as Q by S into R. Okay. So this is the way by which we are finding out the unknown resistance value by constructing a Wheatstone bridge using the 3 known values, and you are balancing the Wheatstone bridge by adjusting R, S, Q, the known values. Then using this ratio, we can find out the unknown resistance. Okay. Take down. I suppose you have made the diagram, isn't it? Then you write from ACBA. From ACBA, I1P minus I2R equal to 0. And from CBDC, from CBDC, I1Q minus I2S equal to 0. I1Q minus I2S equal to 0. This condition can be achieved. When no current is flowing through the galvanometer chip. This condition is achieved only when no current is flowing through the galvanometer. And this condition is known as balanced condition. And this condition is known as balanced condition. Condition is known as the balanced condition. So we can have I1P is equal to I2R. So we can have I1P is equal to I2R. I1Q is equal to I2S. I1Q is equal to I2S. Then P by Q is equal to R by S. P by Q equal to R by S. By taking the ratio, P by Q is equal to R by S. Then P by R is equal to Q by S. P by R equal to Q by S. P by R is equal to Q by S. Now you write at balanced condition. At balanced condition, the ratio of resistors on either side of the galvanometer remains same in a Wheatstone bridge. Okay, so that is Wheatstone bridge arrangement and its balanced condition and how it is used for finding the value of an unknown resistance provided. Is it clear? Just go through, and if you find any issue that you can ask, just go through the definition. The Wheatstone bridge arrangement is very important in the sense it has theoretical importance as well as practical importance. Based on this Wheatstone bridge, you are doing an experiment called meter bridge. I hope you got the list of experiments. That list of experiments, one of it is meter bridge experiment to find out the resistance per unit length or resistivity. Any aim can be there, but the method is using meter bridge. So when practical exam is conducting and when meter bridge experiment comes, then the visiting examiner has a choice to ask the basic principle of that meter bridge. Basic principle is Wheatstone bridge only. So it has its own theoretical importance as well as the practical importance in your syllabus. So this meter bridge, Wheatstone bridge is a very important topic, and that balancing condition and deriving that equation, that also important. Okay. Okay. So the basic concepts in this chapter is over. That means what we intended to do in this chapter that we didn't do yet. Our chapter name is DC circuits and measurements. So what is a DC circuit and what you can provide there, that already we have seen. The basic concepts or basic ideas behind a DC circuit that we have seen. That means for a DC circuit to provide an electric potential, we need a cell, and the properties of cells we have seen, combination, internal resistance, potential difference, EMF, all these matters we have seen. Then we have defined Kirchhoff's laws, which describes how you can analyze a DC circuit. Now we are going for measurements in DC circuit. For that, we have to be familiar with some circuit elements also. We have to be familiar with some circuit elements also. Circuit element means the parts of a DC circuit. What may be or what cannot mean, what elements can be included in an DC circuit, that we have to cover. First one we have already seen, cell is must in a DC circuit. A DC cell is must in a DC circuit. Then resistors should be connected, capacitors may be connected. All these devices are there. But the same importance you have to give for another one that is known as rheostat. Right? Rheostat is also an important element in a DC circuit. Remember the topic that we are discussing from now are having both practical importance in your syllabus. That means all these matters you will see in your practical classes. Okay, so that I told you all the basics we have discussed yet. Now we are going to the practical aspect of all these concepts. See, rheostat is one of a circuit element in the DC circuit. What is a rheostat? Rheostat symbol of rheostat is this is the symbol of rheostat. And from this, it is clear that it is something related to what is the symbol for this? What is the symbol?
Resistance.
That is the symbol for resistance. So from this symbol, since we are having a symbol of resistance there, it is somewhat related to resistor. It is somewhat related to resistor. And here you are having a slider. This is a pointer. And this pointer can be there. That pointer can be moved over this resistor. Which means a rheostat is a variable resistance. It's a variable resistor. Rheostat is a variable resistor. Most of the time, this rheostat is connected in a circuit so as to increase or decrease the current. To control the current in a circuit, we are arranging a rheostat in the DC circuit. Are you getting me? To maintain or to adjust the current in a circuit, we are arranging in a rheostat in a circuit. See, its resistance can be varied. Rheostat resistance can be varied, and if the resistance is increasing, then the current in the circuit will be decreasing. If the resistance of the rheostat is decreasing, then current in the circuit is increasing. When you are coming to the practical classes, it will be more clear that how you are adjusting the pointer in the rheostat, and that everything you will see in our physics lab. Okay, now you realize that rheostat is a variable resistor. It is used in the circuit for adjusting the current. If you want to increase the current in the circuit, you have to adjust the resistance of the rheostat less. And if you want to decrease the current, you have to increase the resistance of the rheostat. So it's a regulator. We can say that it can be act as a regulator. It can control the current in a circuit. That is the importance of rheostat in a DC circuit. Clear? So rest of the part, how it is adjusting and what is the structure of this rheostat, that we will see in our practical classes. Okay, during the practical classes, you will see how the experiments are to be conducted. So at the same time, you will be familiar with the circuit elements that we are using in the circuit. Okay. Second one is, so first one is rheostat. Second one is meter bridge. Meter bridge. That is, your practical experiment. So meter bridge is having a structure like this. See, meter bridge consists of a wooden frame, and that wooden frame, metal plates are connected. Over the wooden frame, metal plates are connected so as to maintain electrical connection. So here a metal plate will be there, here also metal plate will be there, here also metal plate will be there. And these dots are denoting the points where you can make the connection. The points where you can make the connection. And see, in one, see here we can see two gaps in that metal frame. A wooden frame. Two gaps in the wooden frame. In the one gap, you are connecting a resistance box. You are connecting a resistance box. Or you can connect here an unknown resistance X. And here you are connecting a resistance box R. I already told you, meter bridge is used for finding the value of unknown resistance. And it is based on our Wheatstone bridge principle. It is based on Wheatstone bridge principle. Okay. And here between A and B, a large gap is there between A and B. At least 1 meter distance is there between the points A and B. Between these two points, a metallic wire is connected. So it is clear that the length of that metallic wire also should be 1 meter. The length of that wire connected between A and B should be 1 meter. That is why it is called meter bridge. 1 meter bridge. That is actually a meter bridge. That means the length of the wire connection between A and B should be 1 meter. And again, here 2 points are there. Between these 2 points, you are connecting a cell or providing a connection. Okay. From here, the middle point, you are connecting a galvanometer, and the galvanometer is connected to a jockey. Galvanometer is connecting to a jockey. So jockey is a metallic contact. Jockey is a metallic contact. It is just like your pen. It is the shape of a pen, but that is a metallic contact. Okay. Now, if the cell is on, here the switch is there, when the switch is on, current is passing through the circuit. And with this jockey, you are touching the point A. I already told you jockey is a metallic contact, and you have to touch the jockey with the point A. Then you can say that this galvanometer is showing left deflection. And you just take the jockey to the point B. And when it is point B, it shows right deflection. Touching the jockey on opposite ends of the meter bridge. If it is showing opposite deflection, then it is clear that your connection is correct. Otherwise, there should be some issues in your connection. Okay. So what it means, at the point A, it is showing left deflection. At the point B, it is showing right deflection, which means in between somewhere, it crosses 0. Are you getting that? Left, I mean, at the point A, it is showing left deflection. At the point it is showing right deflection means as the jockey moves from A to B, the pointer moves from left and becomes 0 and then goes to right. So at one point within that 1 meter wire, when you are touching the jockey with that point, the galvanometer shows 0 deflection. After that, it shows right deflection. So from crossing from left to right, it has to cross 0 mark. Where you are crossing that 0 mark, suppose here see the point where it is crossing the 0 mark. So from A to C, the length is L. So what will be the distance from C to B? That will be 100 minus L. Because 100 centimeters is total between A and B. And now you can identify this as a Wilson bridge. See, I already told you, since these 2 points, between these 2, nothing is connected, so these 2 points are same. These 2 points are same. So we can say that, suppose the points you can A, we already done, yes. A and B is there, and A, B, C, D. Okay, these are the points A, B, C where you are touching the jockey, and D is the middle point. These 2 points are same. All these points are same. So we can see between A and D, X is connected. Between A and D, X is connected. From D to B, resistance box is connected. From D to G, resistance box is connected. From B to C, 100 minus L length of this wire is present. From B to C, 100 minus L length of wire is there. From A to C, L length of wire is there. Now, between D and C, you are connecting galvanometer. Between D and C, you are connecting galvanometer. Between A and B, you are connecting cell. Between A and B, you are connecting. Can you identify this with the meter symbols? See, this is the resistance wire. So L length of wire can provide its own resistance. Suppose resistance per unit length is lambda. Lambda is the resistance per unit length. Resistance per unit length. So the resistance offered from A to B will be N into lambda. Resistance also offered from 100 minus L length of the wire will be 100 minus L into lambda. So all arms are having resistance. So we can have x divided by, according to Wheatstone bridge, x divided by lambda L is equal to resistance divided by lambda into 100 meters. Lambda can cancel. So x equal to R divided by 100 meters. This is the equation that you are using for finding the value of unknown resistance. See, from the resistance box, you decided value can be taken out, which means resistance box value you can decide. Suppose 5 ohm you require, that can be taken out. So resistance box will be 5 ohm. And the length, you according to that resistance, you can adjust the length. Where you are getting the 0 mark, for that what to do is, you are taking the jockey at the point A and you just slide the jockey over this wire. You can see that from left, the pointer is coming to 0. And where it shows 0, you stop there. That is the point. Okay, that is the point. So from A to C, what is the length that you can measure there? That means a meter scale is also attached with the wire AB. Nothing to worry. All these you are going to do in our physics lab. Okay, this is only a preface to the practical experiment. This theory class you have to take as a preface to your practical experiment. You have to identify that what is the basic principle of meter bridge. Basic principle is Wheatstone bridge rule. At the balanced condition, ratio of resistors on either side of the galvanometer remains same. That is the basic principle of meter bridge. And usually meter bridge experiment is used for finding the unknown resistance value. You are provided with a resistor and you have to find out what is its value. For that, you are making use this text. Okay. So meter bridge is important, Wheatstone bridge is important, then Kirchhoff's laws are important. So revise it once again. What is Wheatstone? Kirchhoff's laws, how these laws are used, and Wheatstone bridge as an application of Kirchhoff's laws, and meter bridge as an example of application of Wheatstone bridge. Okay. So that's all for today, and we will meet in the next class.